gorgeous individuals, it's Kav here, and today I'm back with another book haul. It has been a good few months since I've done one of these, so I've let my books build up for a long time. This is gonna be a lot of books. Let's just get started! The first book I have to show you is Ash by Melinda Lowe. I have already read this and I gave it a 3.5 out of 5 stars. Ash is essentially a female by female Cinderella retelling. I really enjoyed it. Essentially, I think that I just wasn't prepared for how dark it was going to be. And it's not necessarily dark, like it's not a horror book, but it's not light and fluffy either. So it was much darker than I expected it to be, which is essentially why I wasn't prepared for it. But overall, I enjoyed it. If you are interested in retellings, specifically queer retellings, I think that you will really enjoy this. The next book I have to show you is George by Alex Gino, and I have already read this and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. This is a middle grade story about a trans girl. I think it was kind of a very simple story about transness, but I also think it was a very necessary story, and I think this could be really useful to someone who is younger and who is as young as the main character in this book, so they might be able to feel more comfortable with their identity if they are questioning their gender. So I highly recommend this, and I just would love to see more middle grade books like this out in the world. The next book on my list is 27 Hours by Tristan, and I have already read this as well, and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars, and I have a full spoiler-free review of this up, so definitely check that out if you'd like to hear more of my in-depth thoughts about it. I love this novel. I think that that's not a secret to anyone because I have been very public about my love for it. It was on my favorite books of 2017 list. 27 Hours is essentially a sci-fi novel about a group of diverse teens who save the world because teens are smarter than adults. I loved it for so many reasons. I think it has amazing queer and disability representation. There has been some conversations about the race representation, and I have addressed those many times, so I'm not going to talk about them again today. It was really a culmination of everything you could want in a novel. It was humorous, it was action-packed, it had some romance, it just had all of the different qualities you want out of books, and as someone who really doesn't like sci-fi, the fact that I loved a sci-fi novel is definitely saying something. I would recommend this one. This feels more like a wrap-up or a recommendations video than it does a book haul, but I'm going with what I'm doing. The next book on my list is Girls Made of Snow and Gloss by Melissa Bashardouse, and I have also already read this one and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. This is a female feminist Snow White retelling, and this was also on my favorite books of 2017 list, so obviously I really enjoyed it. I think that just all the elements in it were done so well, and there was really nothing lacking in it. I think that it has a lot of strong words going for it, so it's one that you might be wary about going into, but I went into it and I loved all of the different aspects of it. What really got me was the feminism, because I think that was by far the best part of this novel, but the other aspects were also really good and I enjoyed it. I think it's a great book. The next book I have on my list is Forest of a Thousand Lanterns by Julie C. Dow, and I have also already read this one and I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars as well. This is an East Asian Snow White retelling, except it is the retelling of how the evil queen essentially came to be. So the main character of this story is basically an anti-hero. I love stories with morally gray main characters, so I really like this novel and I'm very excited for the next one that's going to be coming out later this year. I really want to see how this story continues, and I definitely recommend this one. The next book on my list is Released by Patrick Ness, and I have also already read this one. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars as well, and this was on my favorite books of 2017 list, so obviously I really enjoyed it. Released is essentially a book about a gay boy who grows up in an anti-gay family, and it tackles so many important topics, but I definitely want to give a content warning for that. As I said, it tackles so many important topics. It tackles sexual harassment against men, it tackles being in an anti-gay family, it tackles being religion and being gay and how those kind of interconnect, and it tackles male by male sex, or kind of normalizes it, I guess is a better term. So overall, I really enjoyed this novel and I highly recommend it, and Patrick Ness is one of my favorite authors, so I'm always ready to pick up one of his books. The next book on my list is the Mortal Instruments graphic novel, and I think this is the first novel of this book haul that I haven't read yet, and you might be going, whoa, how has Kav not read a Cassandra Clare related book? Like the minute they got it. It will happen. I will read this and I will love it, and I know I will. Calm down. It's fine. Everything is fine. Cassandra Clare is still my favorite. I'm still the #1 Shadowhunter spokesperson. So this is exactly what it sounds like. It is a graphic novel of the Mortal Instruments. This is the first installment in it. I know that there are more to come and I am so excited for it, but I know I won't be able to hold off till the second one comes, so I'll probably end up reading this really soon. The next book on my list is probably my favorite book that I got in 2017, and that is the Sileo Bones 10th Anniversary Edition. This is the most gorgeous book I've ever held in my hands. The pages are gold, the cover is beautiful, it has so much gorgeous artwork inside. Look at this inside cover, it's just the most beautiful book in existence. The next book I have to show you all is Let's Talk About Love by Claire Kahn. I was lucky enough to receive an ARC of this novel from the lovely people at Swoon Reads, and it is out on January 23rd of 2018. I love this novel with everything in me. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Let's Talk About Love is essentially a cute contemporary romance featuring a black biromantic asexual main character, and the romantic interest is Japanese. What I love about it is the fact that it basically ties together the two things I love most in novels: a cute contemporary romance with tackling important issues, and it does those both so well. It was on my favorite books of 2017 list. It is on my favorite books of all time list, and I just loved it so much. The next book on my list is Wild Beauty by Anna Marie McLemore. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. I have already read it as well. This is a gorgeous novel. I don't even really know how to describe it. I really think you should just go into it because it is beautiful. It features essentially an all Latinx main cast, and essentially all the main characters are also queer. It's just gorgeous in every way. The writing, the characters, it's just a beautiful novel, and I really recommend that you read it. The next book on my list is Dear Martin by Nick Stone, and I have also already read this. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and it was also on my favorite books of 2017 list. Dear Martin is a novel featuring a black main character, Justice, who starts having to deal with racism. He starts writing these letters to Martin Luther King Jr. and essentially tries to emulate him in how he deals with racism and such. I thought it was a very powerful novel. I think it's a very important read that we all need to read, and it's such a short book so you can get through it really quickly. So if you have the ability, I definitely think you should read this one because it is a masterpiece. The next book on my list is Love, Hate, and Other Filters by Samira Ahmed. I was lucky enough to receive an ARC of this novel from the lovely people at So Routine. It is out on January 16th. I gave this novel a 5 out of 5 stars. Love, Hate, and Other Filters is a novel about an Indian American Muslim teen. It is perfect in so many ways. It tackles so many important topics such as anti-Islam rhetoric and so many more, and it's also a cute contemporary at the same time, so it manages to do both of the two things that I love. So I definitely think you should pick this up when it comes out. The next book on my list is Chaotic Good by Whitney Gardner. I was lucky enough to receive an ARC of this novel from the lovely people at Knopf. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right. I'm very sorry if I butchered it. This is out on March 13th. I have not read it yet as I want to read it and review it closer to the release date. I was a huge fan of Whitney Gardner's first novel, Your Welcome Universe, so I requested this novel, which essentially has a main character who is a geeky girl. I think I pointed this out in my most anticipated releases of 2018 video. Even in 2018, it's this weird thought that there are girls who like geeky stuff, and that's just so ridiculous to me. So I'm glad that Whitney is going outside of these bounds to write about a geeky girl, and I'm just really excited to delve into it. The next book on my list is The Serpent Secret by Sayantani Dasgupta, and I was lucky enough to receive an ARC of this from the lovely people on the Diverse Book Bridge team, which is a great organization. You should definitely be following them. I'm part of the team. I have them linked in all the descriptions of my videos. This novel is out on February 27th, and I have not read it because again I want to read it and review it closer to the review date. The Serpent Secret is a middle grade novel that follows a main character, Kiran Mala, who essentially thinks she's a regular 6th grader until her parents mysteriously disappear, and she then finds out she's a real Indian princess. And I'm so glad that there are more novels dealing with Indian mythology and Indian characters written by own voices Indian authors coming out, so I'm super excited to support this novel. The next book on my list is Moxie by Jennifer Matthew. This was a holiday present to me from my sister. I have not read this novel yet. Essentially, what I've heard about this novel is feminism. That's all I need to know to go into it. The next book on my list is Miles Morales by Jason Reynolds, and I got this when I got Moxie. Essentially, what happened was I told my sister this was an anticipated read of mine. She said, "Is that Black Spider-Man?" I said, "Yeah," and then she said, "We're getting it." So now I have this book. The next book I have to show you is Like Water by Rebecca Podos, and I have also already read this. I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. It was on my favorite books of 2017 list. Like Water is essentially a coming-of-age story featuring a bi-Latinx main character and featuring a cute romance and just coming to terms with their identity and coming to terms with having to deal with unanswered questions. It's like an important book, but it also like provides its importance in a not so intense way, if that makes any sense, but essentially I really love this novel and I haven't seen much support for it, so I really plead that you pick it up if you have the ability to, because it really deserves more support. The next book on my list is The City of Brass by S.A. Chakraborty. This is my current read. It probably won't be when this video goes up, but this is an adult high fantasy fiction novel. All of the characters in it are brown. Like I said, it's fantasy and it's just so many good things. I don't think the synopsis really makes any sense, but read it. The next two books on my list are Timekeeper and Chainbreaker by Tara Sim, and I was lucky enough to have the opportunity to meet Tara, so I picked up both of these books and got them signed. Timekeeper is essentially a trilogy, only the first two books are out right now, but it is a trilogy that deals with clock towers, Victorian era, a male-by-male romance, and all of those just seem like good words to me. I haven't read it yet, but I am very excited to. The next book I have to show you is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. This is a novel essentially about political intrigue set in a fairy realm. I have heard just absolutely amazing things about this novel, so I was like, I think I have to pick it up, and I did, and it was one of my most anticipated releases, and now I have it in my hands, and I really like that. The last book I have to show you today is Because You Love to Hate Me. This is an anthology that's essentially a collaboration between 13 booktubers and 13 authors, and it was edited by Amory. I'm just so excited to read this. My best friend graciously got it for me as my holiday present, and I'm so excited to finally have it in my hands. And essentially what happened was that each booktuber gave the author they were working with a villain to kind of write about. So the booktuber then wrote a kind of introduction type thing, and then the author wrote the story about the villain, and I just think that that is such a cool premise. That was all the books I had for this video. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe, because that stuff makes me happy. And go ahead and comment down below, have you read any of these books, and if so, what did you think? Or if not, do you want to read any of them? Just tell me about your reading life as well, because I'd love to know. And as usual, all of my social media and my Goodreads will be in the description below if you'd like to check me out anywhere else. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you're having a lovely day or night wherever you are. Please remember, you're beautiful and you deserve the world, and I will see you soon with a brand new video. Goodbye!